It's time to learn how easy it is to thread and wind a bobbin on the Pfaff Creative icon. But before I actually show you, I want to show you where you can find the videos in this machine for just some of that basic how-to things. So if you go ahead and touch the Open Help Center, you will find that you've got all your user's guide, getting started, which is where we're going to go, and then in each of these are the different parts and pieces. Let's just look here, threading the upper thread. And I'm using just like a stylus with a rubber tip to this, and you can find that that might help you versus touching the screen if your fingers are maybe not active as much. But I also can show you that when this comes up, if you want your letters to be a little bit bigger, which mine need to be, touch that A until they become as large as possible. Your instruction have different parts to it, so if you arrow down, you're getting each of the steps. Anytime you see the little play button, touch it. That play button will start to show you what to do. These are animated, there's not sound, so you're not missing anything, but it's a quick way to follow along. Now this video is going to stop in just a second, so you could then follow along. But if you want to play the whole video, touch right here where there's a small short green section. Turn it so it's one long green section, push play, and the rest of the video will continue. Now I'm going to stop because I'm going to actually talk through a few things that I always talk through my students about the importance of threading your machine. So to get out of the Help Center, you can go ahead and touch the arrow at the top or go back down to the Home button at the lower part of the screen and go into Start Sewing. That will bring up a straight stitch. Of course, it doesn't matter what stitch you're on, but we're going to go ahead and start at the top for winding a bobbin. Now, threads. Now, you can use any type of thread, but quality thread will make a difference. We do use a lot of embroidery thread when we are embroidering. Don't be afraid to use that for sewing too. But for today, I am just using just a nice quality Mettler thread, and I'm going to wind a bobbin. So bobbins, they're the purple ones that have the word Pfaff on them. The purple ones are taller. That means that they are the right ones for this machine, and they're going to hold more thread. So that is just a benefit of this machine. Make sure you pick up the purple bobbins. Pull the telescope all the way up and flip one or both of the spool pins up, and then take the disc and push it down. Now put the little edges or ridges up, and then place your spool in place. You're going to go up to the top, click it into the little guide. You're going to notice that your thread is going to pull directly off that spool with absolutely no resistance. That's what you're after. To wind a bobbin, we're going to come around this small area here, and then just lay it in this underneath this little groove. Take your thread, and from the inside to out, in the one hole. Now there is the word Pfaff. We're going to want to make sure that Pfaff is on the top. When the bobbin is wound correctly, where you wind it so you can see the word Pfaff on top, and then when we put the bobbin into the machine, down in the bobbin area, your Pfaff logo is always up, and then it always goes in there correctly. So after this, we're just going to hold our thread straight up. Notice I wrap it around my fingers, slide the bobbin winder over, and you'll notice on screen, your bobbin winding screen will come up. This is how fast it's going to wind, so if you want to wind it a little bit of the medium speed, push the go or play button, hold on tight till that breaks off, or you can pause it and cut it. What you want to make sure is that there's absolutely no little tail right there. So just make sure that that's completely cut, and you can start it up again. You can also cut that once it's done if there's a little kind of thread sticking up out of the top when it's done. So if you do want to wind that a little bit faster, that's a lot of thread on there, but that's how great these bobbins are. Lift it up and slide it underneath the cutter and cut the thread. So the little cutter on here will make it so you don't have to reach for your scissors. So the way this comes off the bobbin winding spindle is exactly how you're going to come down and drop it into the bobbin area. The little door can be removed by sliding this lever to the right, and it pops up. Place the bobbin down in, just drop it in. But here's the important part. There's a little groove right down here at 6 o'clock. You want to make sure the thread drops in that groove, and then I put my finger on the bobbin and pull. I heard a little click. Sometimes you hear the click there, and then that means that from 6 o'clock to about 7:30, That is the bobbin case tension. Without the thread in there, things just don't work well, so make sure that it is sitting in there. And then take the thread over the top and follow the little arrow. Now there's an arrow here with a cutter below it. Sometimes what I like to do is actually put the door over the top and then pull, and the cut holds the door holds the little cut piece in place. I don't have to bring that bobbin thread up. As soon as I thread the needle and I get ready to sew, I'll be able to just step on the foot control, and that first stitch will bring that thread up to the top of the machine. Now that the bobbin is wound, we're going to thread the machine. So unhook it from all the other places that we used for bobbin winding, and we're going to thread the machine with two hands. Watch this. When I come underneath each of these areas, I'm threading it with purpose. So underneath, towards the back, around the back side, and then right here. First off, before you go any further, make sure your presser foot is up. So if it's not up, make sure you touch the up button and bring it all the way to the up position. That opens up the tension discs. So those little guides that squeeze your thread and make it tight when you sew, they're open right now. So here's what I want you to do. Get a hold of the thread in both hands, and I guess I thread the machine left-handed because I'm holding onto the thread with my right hand. As I come down here and come all the way down and turn this corner, I'm going to go like this, kind of a flossing action. That makes sure that your thread goes all the way as deep as possible. If you do this on this machine, it just guarantees that your threading is done correctly every single time. Now, if your needle is at the highest position, if it's not, touch the button to kind of cycle it down and up, and I'm going to raise that foot back up. That puts the take-up lever where it needs to be. You're going to take your thread in, to the right, all the way to the back, and down on the left. And you'll feel that it hooked onto the take-up lever where it needs to go. Next, we're headed down to the most amazing needle threader. Once you see how the needle threader works, you'll wonder, how did you manage without this? So there's one last guide at the top of the needle. So just take your right hand and swish the thread behind it so it becomes nice and close to the top of the needle. Next, take the thread. There's two little arms here. You're going to just lay it up underneath that arm. In this little mouth, kind of push it towards the back. It kind of clicks in and it's being held in this mouth. And then over on the side of the machine, there's a little lever right here. Bring the thread from the back towards you, and it's going to cut the thread right there. So that is the perfect length. Then all you need to do is reach up and touch the button that's on the front of the machine with the picture of the needle being threaded. It's going to do the rest for you. Now you can take that thread and put it underneath your presser foot to the back, or you can just sew. When we're embroidering, we don't touch that thread. We just put it in the needle threader, touch this, and push the start button for embroidery. But today I am going to just slide it underneath the foot if you like to do that. Remember, we don't have to bring our bobbin thread up at all. And you can let's just test to make sure everything got threaded correctly, and you will find that, oh, it's ready to sew. Fabulous. Touch the scissor button right up here. The thread snips will cut the thread and lift the foot up all at once. Pulls those threads to the back side. So as we look at our stitching, we see the same balanced look of the stitch, both sides of the fabric, like I can't tell which side I sewed from. That's when you know you have a balanced stitch.